So, it's finally happening. I finally got my hands on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. And holding it in my hand now, I feel way more committed to this whole Android experiment than I ever did with the Nothing Phone 3A. But let's be honest, that phone is the only reason why I'm here today. I was blown away by what a mid-range Android phone could offer, and it left me wondering if this is what mid-range looks like. What does Android's best have to offer? Naturally, the S25 Ultra was the obvious next step. Now, this isn't gonna be a super technical deep dive by any means. No crazy specs or benchmarks. This is just my honest, hands-on first impressions as someone who has been using iPhones his whole life and is now exploring the other side. So let's get into how it feels, what's standing out, and whether this phone might actually make me stay switched when it's all said and done. Let's start with the feel. The phone feels premium. The weight, the materials, the design, it's solid, sleek, and surprisingly comfortable to hold. Compared to my iPhone 15 Pro, it's definitely bigger, no denying that. I usually do prefer smaller phones, as I've said before in my older videos, but as I'm getting older and becoming way more aware that my thumbs are not what they used to be, I'll be honest, typing on the larger screen is kind of refreshing. As iPhone users, we love to say how unmatched the build quality is, but the S25 Ultra feels just as good. Both phones have titanium frames, glass backs, and that weighty confidence in the hand. It feels like it could take plenty of falls without actually breaking. Fun fact, when I bought this at the store, the salesman asked me if I wanted a case for it, to which I said no, I usually just rock my phones without a case, and he gave me a look. He's like, oh boy, you know, are you sure? And I said, oh yeah, no, totally. I haven't had any phone bust on me yet. While we were checking out, I proceeded to drop my iPhone face first onto the floor, and I picked it up and looked at him, and his face was hilarious. So I swear, Dylan, I'm not going to drop this and break this. You have my word. Even though I dropped my iPhone, this thing is like 98% safe with me. The one thing that might take some getting used to is the button layout. The power button and volume rocker being on the same side is a little different, but it's not bad at all. It's just different. What I will miss is the action button. Using that as a silent mode toggle is super useful, and I've had that my whole life with iPhones, so we'll see how I can adapt without that. But all in all, the design, how it feels, very, very happy so far with the S25 Ultra. Now let's talk about this display. It's stunning. We're talking 120 Hz, OLED, high brightness, all the flagship level features you'd expect, and then some. Scrolling feels smooth. Colors are vivid and punchy. And the moment I started watching content, I noticed something right away. This thing is bright. Maybe it's just the larger display tricking my eyes because I'm not used to so many pixels, but it does feel brighter than my 15 Pro. And the speakers, the stereo sound setup here actually kind of blew me away a little bit. It's louder and richer than my iPhone ever was, even when it was brand new, and it makes watching videos or listening to music without buds pretty immersive. I'm not one of those people who obsesses over bezels. Like, I get it, cleaner design, thinner lines, whatever, but unless they're just massive, I really don't care that much. That said, the bezels here do look good, thinner than my iPhones, and just overall more modern looking. So yeah, the display, love it. Let's talk about the camera, because obviously this is a big deal on a phone like this. So far, I'm impressed. Photos are looking crisp, the colors are accurate, and the camera app feels robust. But the thing that really jumped out at me is the zoom. The zoom range on this thing is pretty wild compared to my iPhone. It gives you way more flexibility. I was zooming in on stuff across the room with the 100x, and it actually surprisingly was giving me usable sharp images in certain situations, not like all the time. It was like maybe every 3 out of 10. But the 5 and 10x did a really good job at producing very, very usable photos each time. So it was pretty cool to have that extra range. I haven't done any deep comparisons yet or dove into the app itself, but just in terms of first impressions, I'm liking the experience so far. One thing that's already a win for Samsung is the Gallery app, or their Photos app. I cannot stand the Photos app on iOS currently. It's clunky, it's disorganized, and it drives me crazy. The Samsung Gallery app, clean, fast, and just works. That's what we need in iOS. Please, Apple, we'll say it a million times, fix the Photos app. As for the camera app itself, it's solid so far. It'll take more use for me to say whether I prefer it to Apple's, but I'll be doing a full camera breakdown soon. So be sure to subscribe and stick around for that video. This is very random, but check out the shutter sound when you take a photo. How satisfying is that? It's already a win for Samsung. I don't know, I really like that. All right, so this part surprised me more than I expected. Android just doesn't feel that weird to me. I thought coming from iOS, I'd be constantly fumbling around or annoyed with how things work, but honestly, it feels super intuitive. Android has come a long way, I will say. One UI 7 is smooth, polished, and honestly, familiar. I don't know if it's because Android evolved to be more like iOS over time or what, but as someone who's been on iPhone for years, this transition has been surprisingly painless. Animations are fluid, navigation is natural, and nothing feels buggy or broken. I know Android veterans might have thoughts about how close it's gotten to iOS, but from this perspective, it just feels right. I'm curious how this feeling will hold up over a few weeks, but for now, Android, you feel great. Now let's talk about the S Pen. This was one of those things and one of those features that I didn't really think I'd care about, but I kind of like it. I've been using it to navigate, jot things down, scroll around, and it's responsive, smooth, and honestly kind of fun, kind of satisfying to use. Now, will it become part of my daily workflow? I have no idea. We'll see. I've never been a stylus guy, so I'm not sure, but I like having it there, and I could see myself using it more than I expected. Now, there's no Bluetooth in this version of the S Pen. From what I understand, older models let you use it as a remote shutter for the camera, which is kind of a bummer that it's not on this one, because I definitely would have used that feature. But even still, without the Bluetooth, the S Pen has been a fun addition so far. It'll just take time of me using it to see if it's more gimmick than anything else. I honestly don't really have any drawbacks right now from what I can see just yet. Maybe a few nitpicky things, but I've got a lot of things to test, so I'm sure they'll pop up. But overall, my initial impressions of the Galaxy S25 Ultra are really, really positive. This thing feels like a seriously refined piece of tech. It's fast, it's beautiful, it's familiar in the right ways, and exciting in all the new ones. And as someone who just recently dipped their toe into Android with the Nothing Phone 3a, this feels like the big leagues. The performance bump from the 3A to this is very noticeable. Now, I still love the 3A, but the speed, the smoothness, the materials, it all feels like a serious step up. And yet it's not intimidating. I feel like I want to use this phone more, explore it and make it my own. Now, I'm still keeping my eye on the iPhone 17 Pro later this year, because I've seen the rumors and I'm liking what I'm seeing. So that'll be a very interesting head-to-head when that does drop. That'll be a fun video to make. But the fact that I'm this excited to keep using the S25 Ultra, that does say a lot. So, will I stay switched? We'll see. But for now, the Galaxy S25 Ultra is making one heck of a first impression. I've got a handful of videos on the way where we're going to take a deep dive into this phone right here, so stay tuned if you want to see that, as well as my full review of the Nothing Phone 3a dropping very, very soon. Thank you all so much for tuning in and watching this video. I appreciate every single one of you, but that is, of course, enough consuming, enough watching, guys. Get out there and create something yourself. I'll see you all in the next video.